British Columbia. From the city of Vancouver on the west coast, my story takes you 450 kilometers east in the southern interior to the town of Olalla. Winter. The lucky ones hibernate or fly south, but for those remaining, this is a fight for survival. The old and the weak will either freeze to death or die of starvation. Some have to dig in the snow for food, while others sit tight, waiting for opportunities. Sometimes I wonder if winter will never end. But every year spring comes back no matter what, bringing hope for better days. Whiteface Bear Mountain called by some locals. This is where I will spend the next 10 months chasing mountain goats. There is a change happening in the weather, a warming trend, and deer keep cool by licking snow. Hunting will be a lot easier for this coyote, and if he's lucky, it might find the carcass of a goat at the bottom of a cliff. But for now, it's making sure that everybody knows who owns this part of the mountain. course, it's not spring like weather everywhere, and in the Alpine, winter rules. At this time of the year, on the south slope, goats like to bathe in the sun. Goats are beautiful animals with a thick coat of hair, creamy white in color. Their shyness equals their appetite. During the summer months, they graze on grasses. In the winter, they feed on shrubs, dry grass, twigs, and even on pine needles. Some remain on windswept ridges where they feed on lichen and mosses. Both, male and female, have beard, short tail, and long black horns, which contain grow rings like a tree. If the harsh winter months are difficult for adults, it is much more challenging for the young goats. Surviving in the Alpine is a struggle. 60 to 70% of the yearling will die in the first year. Cold weather, predation, and falls are the most common causes of mortality. But for this young goat and his playmates, winter was lenient. Even if some look in rougher shape than others, the return of warmer days should increase their chance of survival. The mountain goat is built to live in steep rocky slope. Its deep chest and powerful shoulder muscles give the animal great strength for climbing and digging through snow for food. Because it has short legs and a center of gravity that is close to the ground, it can travel on narrow edges at ease. Mountain goats live for 10 to 12 years in the wild and usually die of starvation when their teeth are worn down to the gum line. Summer months are spent in high alpine meadows. During the winter, forested habitats serve as critical refuge during period of heavy snow, next to steep, rugged slopes providing escape from predators. They tend to form small groups during the summer and larger ones during spring and winter. As I'm looking at the band grazing on the slope, a plan is on the making. I would have to circle around and hopefully intercept them as they hike up the ridge. The melting of the snowpack has already begun. My first encounter of the morning, a billy goat resting in a dust pit. Males are found either alone or in group of 2 or 3. They are 10 to 30% heavier than the nannies. Most females breed for the first time when they pass 2 years old. So are the young males. Of course, older billies will do most of the successful breeding. The mating, or rut, peaks in late November to early December. In the weeks leading up to it, the males stop eating, engage more often in ritual threats, dig urine pit where they roll, and follow adult females at a safe distance. Sitting down in a sweat after my hiking marathon, being sure that somehow I missed the group. On the slope, bunch grass is already growing. This is welcomed by the entire band. The cold winter months are just a fading memory as the spring crawls up the mountain. But it's not all rosy for the goats. This time of the year brings another threat. It's tick season. The ticks, feared by many, are back every spring. It is shaped like a flat seed and wears different colors and patterns. Ticks would crawl up to the tip of grasses and shrubs, then wait with its front legs wide open, ready to hitch a ride on any host that walks by. The female will feed on the blood of the host for many days and can reach up to 10 times its original size. Then it will drop on the ground and lay its eggs, which will bring the next generation. Ticks can only crawl and do not fly or jump. Because wood tick may be carrier of the Lyme disease, a complete strip is necessary, as I found 5 of those critters on the inside of my collar. Mountain goat society consists of small groups called bands that change in numbers frequently. Except in the mating season, nannies live apart from the billies with their kids and yearling. They like digging bedding depressions where they rest during the midday and at night. They also dust bathe in them to stay cool and remove parasites. Once in a while, temper flares up. Some dust in its eyes, perhaps. Then, a kid walks up to its mom, hoping for some attention, but doesn't get the warm welcome he was expecting. You see, she's pregnant, and she will give birth in a month or so. It's time to break up the bond between them. The young goat will have to learn quickly to think by itself and to make its own decisions. Alone, not quite. It will still be part of the band and learn from them, but life will be a lot different. For now, the worries are gone, and what's important at the moment is the warm feeling of the sun. Then a biddy shows up, and it doesn't seem impressed with the crowd. Having chased away everyone, he's now resting in the best dust pit in the entire spa. But it should know better. You see, the band is ruled by an alpha female. She won't tolerate any disturbance, and she means business. Except during the rut, Billies are treated as the lowest ranked member, which means if he wants to stay, he will have to lay down on the outskirt of the spa. They were there first. The band is resting peacefully again. And the snowpack, well, it's melting rapidly. summer at last, and you can feel the energy buzzing around. The nighthawk doesn't build its nest in trees like other birds, but lays its eggs on the ground between the rocks. Even if they are well camouflaged, they are exposed to predators. The rattlesnake has a forked tongue that it flicks up and down, picking scent. As the tongue slips back in its mouth, it sends messages to its brain, analyzing the scent as food, enemy, or mate. But instead of chewing its food, it swallows it whole. Mice and voles are the rattler's main menu, but a bird is always welcome. First, it bites its prey to immobilize it with its venom. Most small preys are quickly stunned, allowing the snake plenty of time to swallow its victim. Depending on the size of the meal, the digesting process can take several days. Of course, who says summer says plenty. There is so much grazing to be done that someone could afford to be picky, like this mule deer doe, which prefers the sweet taste of flowers. Then, on a ridge, a nursery ben, as they call it, nannies and their kids. It must be only 2 to 3 weeks old. They give birth late May or early June on very steep cliffs to avoid predators. Goat kids start to climb within a few hours and follow the mom across broken terrain within 4 to 5 days. They suckle often on the first few days, but soon begin to graze on tender plants. The mother-infant bond is really strong. They are not territorial in a sense, but defend the personal space around them, and more so when they are nursing. Even if the young gets an all-around-the-clock protection, danger is always present. The golden eagle is the most feared predator for the nursery band. It can snatch a kid from its mother with its powerful claws, or make it fall down the cliff. Either way, staying close to its mom is imperative. This is the time of the year nature displays the meaning of its existence. This is the time for berries of all sorts, color and sizes. The mountains seem alive more than ever, and sometimes life thrives in the most unusual places. Of course, who says berries says bears. For the black bears of Olalla Creek, this is the last chance to build up their fat reserve before the cold season settles. Saskatoon, the berry of choice for a bear, and in this canyon there are plenty of those. As a filmmaker, I'm always searching for the ultimate footage, which more often than ever makes me walk a thin line. And sometimes this line gets a lot thinner. As I walk back to the ridge, I find her feeding. And what a pleasant surprise with her other cub. By the small amount of fruit found on those bushes, they are most likely not the first bears to visit this berry patch. Twins are not uncommon, but having a black and a brown one, it's unusual. The cubs will stay with their mom for 2 years or so, and she will teach them everything she knows, everything she learned from her own mother, which learned from hers. From the grassy meadow in the spring to berry patches in the fall, ant hills, wasp nests, squirrel and groundhog, and the odd fawns they come upon. Competition for food among bears is fierce. It's important to know the wheres, but also the whens. Timing is everything. It's the difference between life and death. Fall, the season of beauty, with its colors, cool nights, and frosty mornings, a precursor of times to come. Of course, it is also for some the season of love. But for the goats, it's a stressful time. Like every year, the drought has reached its peak. The late rain hasn't come yet, and creeks in the Alpine are bone dry. Every week or so, they embark upon a dangerous journey, leaving their secure cliffs behind to walk down to Olalla Creek in the valley below. Out of their element, they are the most vulnerable. Cougar feeds mainly on hares and mule deer. It will seldom attack an adult goat because of its sharp horns, but a young one will be an easy prey. First, the scout, usually the most experienced of the goats, but sometimes the thirstiest. As it walks down in the canyon, all its senses are on alert. It stops often and studies the surrounding. As it comes closer to the bottom of the canyon, the roaring of the creek makes it impossible to hear anything. It will count mostly on its vision and sense of smell. The group grows impatient. There is anxiety in the air, and the young goat is nervous. It follows its mother in every step. When she runs, it runs, and stops when she does. How close it stays to its mother will increase its chance to survive this ordeal. It took only minutes to get their fill. It's not safe to stick around. The climb will be long and steep. We would have the impression this would be hard work. Not really. Goats are well engineered. Their cloven hooves have rough textured traction pads and makes them specialized for rocky slippery slope. Also, its toes can spread widely and close pincer-like around rocky ridges to provide extra traction. Accident happens sometimes. Many older goats have broken teeth due to fall. Of course, where mom goes, the kid follows. On their way up, they stop to rest. Protected from sun exposure, the canyon has plenty of green grass covering its walls, and in this time of drought, it's more than welcome. And the slow procession resumes. It is difficult to do a head count on the goat population in the area. Bends are changing in numbers constantly. Goats are moving from one bend to the next depending on the time of the year. As the fall season comes to an end, so is my story. Standing on top of White-Faced Bear Mountain, images comes to my mind. Images of beauty that we have to respect and protect. Winter came with a vengeance. First, the freezing rain, then heavy snow followed by 2 weeks of minus 20 Celsius. This could be very difficult for the goats. As harsh as it seems, this is the way of nature, but it's up to us to make sure goats will be around tomorrow and the day after, by saving habitats and by letting nature create others. We have to understand that forest fires have a role in the balance of nature by creating pastures. For the goats of Olalla Creek, life will go on. Goats will be born and goats will die. Whereas me, well, I will keep roaming the trails until I can't no more.